You ready? I want to welcome everybody. July 18, 2017, 6 o'clock meeting starting at 3 minutes after 6. At this time, I need approval of the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion for approval. We have a second.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? If none, all in favor by aye.
Aye.
Honored to have Matt Goins do our invocation and pledge, Park and Recreation Director and Navy veteran.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Good evening. We can all bow our head and close our eyes. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight with heavy hearts to say thank you for your many blessings that you bestowed upon Bobby Bonner and his wife as her family has been going through many trials and tribulations. May you continue to keep your hand placed upon them and continue to bless them. May you bless this governing body tonight as they continue to do their job for the county. May they continue to watch over our budget, watch over the department heads, keep us straight. Dear Lord, there's many things that we do every day that get challenged, and it's your hands that place upon us to keep us straight. We ask for your many blessings. We ask for you to continue to bless our families as we're at work every day, as we're out doing our jobs and doing the best we can. Dear Lord, it's your Son, Jesus Christ, that continues to allow us to walk and do the things that we do. The blessings that you bestow upon us are so many times going unworthy of us. And we can only pray that we continue to walk and honor you in the things that we do and the way that we behave. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Matt, you want to tell us about your service time? It's up to you.
Well, real briefly, coming out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Wasn't a very good student. Just typical teenage boy. Grew up in Baldwin County and knew I wasn't ready for college. And so my dad was a Vietnam veteran, and I had an uncle that was in the Navy at the time. So talked with them, and they said, you should go in the military. So I asked my dad what he thought, and he said, do you want to walk everywhere you go? I said, no. He said, you want to get shot at? I said, no. He said, well, don't go in the Army. So I went in the Navy instead. It was a great 4 years. Saw 22 countries over my time. Went overseas for an 8-month tour. I was on a small ship called an FFG. It's a fast frigate, submarine chaser. But I got to see a lot of different places, and it was a great experience. It made me grow up, was the most important thing it did. Came home out of the Navy, did some time in the Naval Reserves up at Dobbins Air Force Base in Atlanta. Went to school on my GI Bill, got my education, and I can honestly say that I'm probably where I am today because of the military. Made me grow up and let me see that, it's okay to be wild and young, but at some point you got to grow up. And so that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Move on. Consent agenda and approval for the minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes? Is any errors or omissions? If none, I need a motion for approval. So moved. So moved. And that approval, I should have read it on. I got ahead of myself. It was a work session on June 20th, 2017, 5 p.m. Third Tuesday, June 20th, 2017. Executive session, June 20th, 2017. We also have a work session on July 5th, 2017 at 1 o'clock p.m. and a work session at July 11th, 2017, 8:30 a.m. That was the approval agenda. We have no, so moved. So moved, all right. Second. Item D. All right, we have so moved. I'm getting ahead. I thought we already voted on approved before I read it. That's fine. Approved. Making legal. Item D. We have a visitor, Charles Brown, Plantation Club Court. Was Charles here? Did he call and confirm us?
He did not call to answer.
All right. Moving on for new business. We will be new business, Central Georgia Technical College Adult Education Annual Report. Marilyn Norfleet.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I stand before you to make my 5th annual report and to thank you for your continued support. We continue to lead the 12 counties in our SDA delivery area, and we continue to be number 1, and it's because of the citizens of Jones County and you. You have our annual report, which we believe that we should provide for you every year because you support us and you need to know what we're doing. We need to make you aware of what's going on at the adult education program. I wanted to highlight a couple of things, even though you can look at them, so that you would see how we are being supported in the community. Linwood Lindsay came by and gave us a donation. We recently received a smart television and laptop from Voc Rehab. Joy from Family Connect gave us a financial donation. The Jones County Chamber of Commerce, we work well with them. We're instrumental in the new Career Academy and in hopes that they will, that adult ed will have a voice in that and that our students will be the beneficiary of that program as well. The Jones County Public Library, we're working with them to assist our students as well. We had 25 GED graduates. Our 49 site continues to thrive. We had 6 GED graduates out of the 49 site. I always stand here and tell you that the support that you give us is second to none. Of the other counties, we have them looking at us and using Jones County as a model because of our program and because of the support that we get for our GED program. It's known in the capital, it's known statewide. So I wanted to stand here to let you know what was going on and to solicit your continued support. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that we recently put in a collaboration room, and it has a telepresent conference room in there. And I am making it available to you all. If you need to use it, then you can check with me, and if it's available, we won't have any problems with the community using it at times. So again, thank you for your support, and we solicit your continued support.
Thank you, Mr. O'Fleet.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you. Number 2 on our new business, Secretary of State Student Ambassador Program. Fitz, is this?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I think we all got this email Ms. Tyson forwarded to us, and I feel like as commissioners and leaders in this community, then we need to try to, part of our job is bringing up new leaders. And with this program, it's a student ambassador program, has a leadership development program for high school students that center in civic involvement, voter registration promotion, and volunteerism. The students that agree to participate will have planned events on speaking to peers about the importance of voting, assisting with registering to vote, and attending local civic meetings and volunteering with different the community as itself. The program is free, so it doesn't cost anything, and it's a team with the Secretary of State's office that's dedicated to assisting the local schools and ensuring that the program is successful. Each school will be allowed to select at least 9 representatives. I think it's a great program. I think it's something we need to reach out to the Board of Education and see if they'd be willing to participate in and just show that we support it, endorse it, and hopefully the Board of Education will jump on board and select 9 kids to participate in this program, because I think it's, like I said earlier, it's part of our duty to make sure that we bring up the leaders that's going to run this community once we're no longer sitting up here. So that's my proposal, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any questions from Commissioner Pitt?
Said something here to direct county administrator to contact the school board and just let them know our intent, our backing on it, 100%.
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Martin?
Sounds good.
Do so.
Sir.
So we need a motion to...
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we have our county administrator reach out to Mr. Gibson with the Board of Education and see if they will implement this program with the understanding they have support of the Jones County Board of Commissioners.
All right. We have a motion. We have a second? Second. Second. All right. We have a second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Number 3 on new business, award bid for Masseyville well renovations. Brittany, you handling this one?
I guess I will. Thank you, Chairman. On July 10th, open up bids for Masterville Well Rehab. Tim, we have four people that got the plans. Only one submitted the bid, and that was Green's Water Wells here in Gray for a base bid of $66,990. My recommendation is to award the bid to Don Green. This be paid out of GFA, the GFA loan for the Masterville project.
What do we, budget, our expected budget was?
For Masterville, 800 something? Something like that? About 900,000. That's for the filtration system and the well rehab.
I was gonna say, we're pretty good then if we don't get.
Any more
What
questions?
did we budget for this part of it, you remember? I mean, what do we estimate? Are we under budget on it, or
We did not estimate.
we didn't break it out?
We've done the whole thing in a bundle, but we need this well go ahead and be put online.
Any more questions for Mr. Wiggins?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Number 4, on new business, award bid for the 2017 LMIG project. Mr. Resner, you have this one, don't you?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We recently bid out our LMIG work, and in your packet there, you have the list of bids we received. You'll see there a base bid amount and an alternate bid amount. As you'll recall, there were about 5 roads that were added that would be done if funding was available. The low bid here was from Georgia Asphalt. The base bid amount was $773,203.64. The alternate bid amount was $21,426.29. Just going to get to the amounts we budgeted here. We had $761,881 available in current year LMIG funds. We also had $93,357 left over from the 2016 LMIG. So if you combine those two amounts, we do have sufficient funds to do the base bid amount and the alternate amount, and then we've got about $25,000 worth of striping. John, correct me if I get if I'm off here, but so I believe our recommendation would be to go with Georgia Asphalt, doing both the base bid work and the alternate bid work.
Okay, any more questions for John or Mr. Resner? If none, I need a motion. We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. You ready? We got number 5 on new business, award bid for labor and material for 4 16-seer heat pump 4-ton systems. Mr. Resner, you doing this one also, aren't you?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This was for 4 heat pump systems, 2 here and 2 at the courthouse, as I recall, and you've got a list there. We sent it out to looks to be about 11 different companies, I guess, received a bid package. We only got 1 response from Schubert's Heating and Air. The bid amount was $25,795.
I can't believe we sent out that many bid invitations to get one.
Did we ask for any kind of alternates for an 18-seer or anything higher than a 16?
I don't believe we did, no.
If we're looking at efficiency and moving forward, I don't know why we would go with barely above the minimum seer factor. Just my opinion.
Okay. I don't know enough to have an opinion on that one. But we just kind of went with what Bobby Bonner had developed in the way of specs. But I can certainly get with him and talk through that with him.
Any motions to,
I'm making a motion, we reject all bids and rebid based on at least an 18 SEER heat pump system. It'll pay for itself. And,
with efficiency it will? Oh, we have a motion, we have a second? Reject all bid?
I'd like to add an amendment, friendly amendment, that we at least get confirmation from 5 of the companies. We're sending out bids and we're not getting any response back. So I'm curious as to A, if they're getting it, B, if they're just making a decision not to. So I'd like confirmation on at least 5 of those.
I mean, we have a motion on that.
Okay. We have amended motion, and we have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I guess we should have clarified, none of these are down, right?
What's that?
They're not down right now, it's not an emergency situation, right?
Right. All right, number 6 on new business is amend travel policy to include per diem on meals and use of county vehicles when traveling. Mr. Kitchens, I think this is your request.
Yeah, something that came up during the budget and, talking with Ms. Lavia, you know, IRS regulations, I think it would clean up, a lot of our process if we went by a state per diem rate instead of reimbursement for, meals and expenditures. And, I'd like to see us develop some kind of policy to, use county vehicles whenever possible. It's a lot cheaper than paying the state rates for mileage, back and forth to training, conferences, and travel.
Any discussion, questions? Have we got a motion?
I think it's probably just a motion to have Jason come up with an amendment to our policies and then bring it back.
Come back with some recommendation and check some other counties.
Come back with a motion. I'm gonna come back with a recommendation for us to do.
Can we do the per diems now? Because we know what those are.
I think that can be do we have a policy that states whether it's per diem or reimbursement?
I'm sure it's a policy.
Make a motion to change the policy to per diem rates and then adjust the travel policy as needed based on recommendations from the county administrator.
Would the per diem be based on where the travel, it would be 3
Yeah,
meals?
the state puts out a rate of $1 amount per day, and it's backed out based on what time you go to your conference, what time you go to your travel. So if it's an all day, you get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If it's a half-day conference, you get, based on whatever time the conference is.
Board might want to see what that is after the administrator looks at it and comes back to the part of the whole thing. I mean, I guess your motion would be, Commissioner Martin, that we just adopt the state per diem.
Correct. And then that would be effective immediately. The state per diem is pretty standard for most of the other boards we travel on. It's there. I know BIB has it. And it's pretty straightforward.
The board certainly can do it tonight if you want to, but just adopt, rather than leaving it up to the county administrator, adopt the state rates, what I'm hearing. If y'all want to go ahead and do something tonight.
I'd like to see it before I vote on it. I mean, it may be fine, but I'd like to know what I'm voting on.
Do we require receipts, or do you just paying that
You wouldn't
amount?
require receipts if you're paying a per diem, they get that for travel.
Right. And as opposed to someone going out and having a $150 meal, which has happened. When we travel, we normally do 5 guys, I think, when we go to Augusta, and it's $8, $9, $10. But we've had occurrences where people have exceeded that amount when they traveled. And that's, the state per diem rate is pretty standard. A lot of people went through the research and making sure that happens. I'd rather see that implemented now, just because we do have people that are traveling. With regard to county use of vehicles, he can work on that at a later time.
Any more discussion? Mr. Pitts?
I guess the only question I have is if it's less. So for an example, this breakfast per diem is $10 and I only spend $5.
It's a daily.
It's a daily.
Okay.
The state it's $46 a day unless they make adjustments for Atlanta, Savannah, Augusta is probably a little higher than their 50, 52 a day, something like that. But the minimum is 46 a day.
And another question I have is, for an example, as we attend some of these ACCG conferences, sometimes breakfast and lunch is already included in our registration, so how we consider those items?
That, unfortunately, is on the honor system, just like if you went and brought back a receipt. Instead of going to a provided breakfast, you went and had breakfast and brought the receipt back. Because most of those meals are paid for in the cost of the event.
Right.
Correct, but what it stops is a $75 meal.
Yeah.
Or a $150 meal.
Right.
And those are some of the challenges we've had in the past. Not everybody gets it or understands it, you know, and at the end of the day, the state per diem is pretty simple. For those of us who have traveled with regard to any board operation or anything like that, it's $46.
Yeah, and that's it.
Keep it simple.
One other benefit you get is if you plan your travel out like we should be doing, you can request this amount and get that check before you actually go on to your, because you know it's $46 a day. You get your $250 meal check. You don't have to expend that money out of pocket and wait and get your receipt and get your money reimbursed to you. It's for some people that's helpful.
I guess I'm all for it, but the only concern is just that I guess somebody can almost pocket the money, you know what I mean? I'm just going to eat crackers and a soda, you know, but
on the other side, you have the abuse that is.
Right, I agree. They're just both sides of it, but I mean, if it's going to control the abuse of spending, I'm fine with it.
So clarification on our amendment, on our motion is?
Make a motion that we go by the state per diem rates for the allowance on travel, and then ask that the county administrator work on some recommendations for travel policy for county use vehicles.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
I can't vote on it either way until I see it. I'm not gonna vote on something I don't know anything about either way, so for that, abstain.
Okay. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
One. Number 7 on new business, approval purchase of 2011 Ford Gossett SDL transit van.
Mr. Chairman, this is a vehicle that was part of our transit program, and we're in the process of getting 2 new vans for our transit service, and we were offered the opportunity to buy one van and actually a second van will be offered to us as well for $3,500. And I've had an opportunity to inspect the one myself. They're really in great condition. It's got about 150,000 miles on it, but I know we've talked with 4-H some. They've got a sort of an aging van that you know, they have issues starting sometimes and that kind of thing. And I believe the senior center has also expressed an interest in a new van there. And these vans do have lift gates on them, and they'll hold, I think it's 10 passengers plus a driver. And it seems to be a great deal for $3,500 and something that we could really use. In talking with Levita, we do have money in our budget that we can move around to cover that cost, and so it wouldn't cost anything other than the money we already have budgeted. So my recommendation would my request would be that you approve the purchase of the one van for $3,500, and if you're so inclined, you can go ahead and approve the purchase of a second for that same amount.
Just curiosity, is it gas or diesel?
I don't know.
I walked around it, it was locked. I didn't get a chance to look in it. It looked clean from looking in the.
Yeah.
It's out there in the parking lot now.
It is. Yeah.
It is gas?
Yes.
I'd rather have gas than Ford than with diesel. Any questions from Mr. Resner? If
You know
not,
about the mechanical shape of it?
It's one that's been serviced by our shop through time. And John, do you know if they've had any major issues with it? Do y'all know by any chance?
No, I don't find it.
Okay.
I can produce the last couple of years of service records for if I'm making numbers and it was to transit.
how long we got to make it?
3185, so it's got
What time frame do we have to make a decision on the?
Margie, you talked to him some. Are we under a pretty tight time frame on at least the first one?
I don't recall the date. I'm sure if you call them, they could say yes, but, when's the next meeting?
Weeks.
Should you approve it with the condition that we verify the maintenance records?
Yeah, that definitely. An option, just approve the purchase contingent upon satisfactory maintenance records.
Or for that matter, you could actually get Fleet or Haskins Diesel or somebody just to give us check it out, give us a blessing on it. That way they can kind of give us an idea.
I can take it down there with Richard.
That's what I was thinking, because he works on a lot on that side.
Mm-hmm.
Have Fleet Services, which does work for the county now, just put an eye on it, touch it, give us his blessing. He feels like it's.
Is this considered increasing the fleet?
Yeah, we've got an aging one we're going to replace. Isn't that correct, Mr. Redden?
I think so. I'd want to confirm that with Brennan before I tell you for sure, but I do know that
He's in order.
Oh, he's still there. Sorry, I was talking about him like he's not here.
It's 18 years old and in the shop right now.
So it's going to be replaced.
Hopefully.
So does Brandon, do you have the license to drive this new transit van if we go ahead and purchase it?
Those do not require a CDL, I do not believe.
Okay.
As long as it's what they refer to as a mini bus.
Right.
So as long as it's under, I believe, 16, I may be wrong on that, but if it's under 16, you can drive it with a normal class, I believe, with B, Class B license.
Good.
I have that.
Good. So I mean, it's not like we can get rid of the one we have and just replace it with one of these right here for $3,500. That's not a bad deal.
Sounds like a sweet deal.
I am all for it.
Sounds like a sweet deal. And Richard can give us an idea of,
Maintenance condition.
Maintenance, and y'all have got some maintenance records on where the county's done some work. So with that said, does somebody want to make a motion?
Mr. I made the motion that we go ahead and proceed with getting this transit van pending the approval of our service records and it meets the satisfactory of the board and our county administrator.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second. All right, approval of the service records by who? John Lowe? Or who's going to approve the service records?
I guess trustworthy, reputable service company that John Lowe recommends that the county, works with. So John will decide who we work with.
Well, he's got service records.
Yes.
Okay.
You got it on computer now.
Okay. To review it and make sure it's acceptable.
And Fleet Services have to do an inspection. They can give us a thumbs up. That's basically what we're asking them to do.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have a motion. Does that everybody understand? We have a second. Oh,
Dayline second.
no. All right. We have a second. I'm sorry. No more discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. New business on number 8, approval to set a tentative millage rate. Do we need to set this now? Attorney Childs, what's your thoughts on it? We're still going through our...
You can go ahead and set a tentative rate. And Jason and I have talked about this. You have to, then of course you have to, when you set the final one, you cannot go above what you do for the tentative. You can go below, but you cannot go above that once you set the tentative rate. That's your understanding, yes?
That's right. You basically have to decide what rates you want to advertise. You have to run a series of advertisements, hold a series of public hearings, and in the advertisements for those public hearings, you have to say, the board has set. I think it actually says the board has set a tentative rate of, fill in the blank. And we'll have, public hearings on that, at such and such times. And, likely you would, if, based on the digest numbers that we got a couple days ago, if you kept the same millage rate that you have now, it would be higher than the rollback rate, so you would have to do the 3 public hearings. But anyway, you have to advertise all that, and in that advertisement, you have to specify a rate. So, and like Frank said, you can come down off of that rate later in the process, but you can't go above it without restarting the whole process.
Unless someone's planning on making a motion or voting to raise the millage rate, we'll be safe with what we were last year. If we need to roll back, come down based on the tax assessment, we can.
Okay. Well,
and still keep our process in timeline that we're talking about.
All right, well, we'll need that in the form of...
Make a motion, we set the millage rate based on last year's millage, the same.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. New business number 9, approval to go out for bid on Highway 18 expansion sewer material. Mr. Gowen?
Good evening again, Commissioners. This is Madeline coming tonight asking special permission, and it's not to go out for bid, but it's actually to accept some written quotes. I gave each of you some paperwork before the meeting started. The reason I'm asking for special permission tonight is we're up against a time frame, and the calendar is not our friend at this point. We're trying to get the park open by August the 18th. Football starts August the 19th. Soccer starts a couple weeks later, but football is a date we're chasing. What you see before you is 3 written quotes. We actually have 4 that came in a little later after these were all printed out. If we were to go out for bid, we couldn't advertise until next week. The advertisement would go to these same people. That would take 2 weeks. We have to get them in, verify them, and then come back before you. And then by the time we got to the suppliers, it's 4 weeks. Correct, Tim? 4 weeks from the time we tell the supplier what we need before we can have it on site. That's why we're up against the clock. Ferguson put in 2 bids. One is $21,571. The other bid, which is not there, the one that came in late, is actually Myers through Ferguson. Theirs is $31,523, and I apologize for using the word bid. Quote: Southern Sales Company, total price $30,000. CMC $30,392. These are hard numbers. Not soft numbers. These are hard numbers. This is exactly what we'll be working with. Tim Ingram has gone through the full list of supplies, has spoken with all these suppliers. They know exactly what we need, exactly what needs to go in the ground to make it our sewer system successful and functional. And I'm asking special permission tonight to be able to move forward. The way it would work, if we get permission, is thanks to Danes Ferry Properties, Brian Jackson, we have an easement. Hope I'm not stepping on toes by making an announcement.
Absolutely.
We have an easement to go through his property, through the edge of his property line in his subdivision, tie into the city. So what we would do in this case is work backwards from the city back to us. And in that time frame, when this material got on site, everything will be laid backwards. We'll be able to put this in, tie right in, and move on. Versus wait for this to come in and then have to do all that. So I'm asking here, I know this is outside of our normal procedures, so I'm asking permission.
And I don't have this in front of me, I didn't get a copy, but what are the numbers, sounded like we've talked about numbers over our.
We have, yes, sir. We have, yes, sir.
You can't grant a waiver for that. I mean, if it's the law, either by state law or the ordinance, you can't waive that.
All right.
What were the numbers again, Matt?
21.
130. You can't do it.
All right.
So I'm sorry. I mean, that's just right.
We can shorten the bid process by the length of time we put it out, since they've already, would that be possible?
Yeah, it might.
2-week advertisement instead of 4?
I'd have to look at it and see if we can, we certainly, try to do that.
And to,
It's just not discretionary.
no,
Can I ask a question?
yes, sir.
Freddie, do you have any of these materials on hand?
I hadn't seen the list yet.
Ask Freddie to look at it and see if Freddie's got anything on hand.
I think that he's gonna have the control panel and the enclosure, alarm system.
You'll have some of it.
4 6-inch pipe.
You may have some pipe, but you don't have the tank and the pump and all that.
No,
So the tank and the pump, but I mean, it could at least get you going in the right direction. But I will say that Mr. Brian and Brett Jackson has saved the county by letting this shortcut through their property, which is great. I mean, we really appreciate it. He came forward today and talked to me and told me that, I want to work with y'all so we can help you get this open. So, this is great for the county. It's a win for the county because it saved us some money. I didn't know if by chance Freddie had some of this on hand that you could go ahead and at least start installing the back half of it. So when you got to that point, all you'd have to do is install the pump. And
I might have some points at River North. They may have sent me the list, but I can look and see what I got.
I mean, we could borrow for departments. Let's get started that way. Is a thought.
Well, I don't see, it doesn't look like pipe is this anyway. We're gonna do the pipe and digging.
Yeah,
tapping and all that.
the piping fees, I have them here. They're under the threshold. They're under the $5,000 threshold. So that number is not an issue to go ahead and get that material and get it going. This was just for the pump and the tank and the electrical panels and all that.
So we can go ahead and start our tap side, work our way back to the pump.
Yes, sir.
And then set them and.
Right.
Now, we have to get Watson to make that core, so we don't have nothing to core inside that manhole.
At the tap.
Right, man, to go down.
Right.
Got a hammer.
You go ahead.
I thought about this last week, then I forgot to do anything with it, but if we can get the pump through a state contract that's already been bid, Frank, would that work? If we could, I don't have any idea if that pump would be available through a state contract or not, but.
I think we have to bid it.
Okay. Even if it's been bid at a state level?
What's the state level?
U.S. communities or something like that?
What's the level at which they bid?
They have statewide contracts for kind of a wide variety of things that they bid out periodically. Everything from vehicles to mowers to toilets to you name it. It's been bid through the state process. Now, I don't know if that extends all the way out to sewer pumps and that type of thing, but they do go through a bid process.
We could probably do something out through that process.
Okay.
As long as it's been bid.
Okay.
That's the key.
But as a backup, we need to have do we need to go ahead and what do we do on the backup if it hasn't been gone through the state bid process?
You got bid.
Yeah. You can tell that by tomorrow, whether it's on any kind of state bid contract on a state website.
Right. Yeah, it should just take a few minutes.
And then start a 14-day advertising. And just set the date to open the same day as the last day of advertising.
Well, we'll need a motion to allow Matt to go out for bid in the event it's not under state contract, correct?
Yes.
So Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that Matt have permission to go out for bid for this wet well, everything that he needs to get this process started.
We have a motion. We have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? If none?
Real quickly, Frank can confirm if there's a shortened opportunity, want to have that flexibility in it as well. And my other question was, not trying to break the law or circumvent, does it fall at some point towards an emergency? Because you're going to have 600 people plus show up in that park with how many bathrooms?
None?
Yeah.
None on top the hill.
Okay. I'm just asking.
There was no saying that I used to get a lot. The poor planning on your part don't constitute an emergency on my part.
Well, I was going to put a side, I was waiting my opportunity to get the side note, and the side note is that we have been planning this sewer system for 4 months, Tim? And we have went through the state going to try to do our own septic system so we wouldn't have a residual sewer bill each month. And the state's requirements that were placed upon it that have changed over the years, and the state requirements made that bid over $100,000 plus. That's why we backed up and decided to go to sewer system versus the septic system. That's why we're where we're at today versus otherwise, if the septic numbers would have came in right, the septic system would actually be in right now, but those numbers were way off the mark. So we had to back up and punt and start over. But thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. All right, number 10, collections. Mr. Wiggin?
Thank you, Chairman. We have in an ordinance that we have, after a period of 9 days, we turn them to a collection agency. Well, we have had 3 collection agencies and we have no response from them. We have Bibb Collections was the best one, then they got bought out. Then we went to CBI, I think one, CBA over there by College Street by the post office. They handle mostly hospitals and doctors. So Jason was kind enough to send me in the right direction with Penn Credit. I have a list of these are cities and counties in the state of Georgia that uses them. Oh, excuse me, that uses them. And I have reached out to 4. I've reached out to Athens, Eatonton, Americus, and Sparta. We're in Rome, and they have nothing but good things to say about it. What we do is send them a list. The first list will be 2 years or less. Send them them. They do all the legwork, send the emails, letters, get everything. Everything has always been good from each one of these 5 entities that says that they would highly recommend Penn Credit. Penn Credit charges 16.5% versus Bibb Collection was 30%.
Wow. And
anything from 2 years to 4 years is 19%. Well, that's better than what we're doing now. So I like for board permission to get the county administrator and the chairman to sign this agreement with Penn Credit. It does not cost a dime. If we want to opt out of it tomorrow, no penalty, nothing. So my recommendation to the board is let Penn Credit do all our collections over 90 days.
And they only charge us if they collect, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Correct. So it's not based on money back?
No, sir. If we send the bill and you owe $75, they'll get 16%, 16.5%, and we'll get the rest.
Real quickly, Freddie,
Yes.
If I have a water bill and goes to collections, can I still get new service?
Once you pay that bill.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure, so no new service without that. Okay.
Right. Also, if you receive a notice, you can pay at 49 office instead of sending them to Penn Credit, but we will have to send Penn Credit their percentage of it.
Sure.
So, I mean, everybody said that they had to do it over again, they would do it, but they love Penn Credit. And I think y'all have a information in y'all's book about Penn Credit, and I don't know where y'all, these are, I'm gonna let y'all look at this. That's some of the cities and the counties that use Penn Credit. City Graves on there, I didn't talk to them because I want to get somebody out of the area. So that's where I'd like to see us to go ahead and sign the contract or the agreement, whatever it is, to go in and start this, so we can go and send them the information.
I see Commissioner Kitchens on the edge of the seat. I know he's got a question.
He's itching.
Yeah, I just noticed it's for a calendar year. So basically, if we started it now, we'd have about 6 months. Is there an option to do a 3-year and hold the same rates and then maybe an automatic renewal unless we change our mind? That way we get more than 6 months for half the rate that we were paying last year.
Well, the reason I hadn't reached out to Rich yet, because I want to see what y'all's direction y'all want to go in. And I can yet email him and see what his, is it a calendar year or is it maybe our fiscal year? Can I send him 2 years worth of stuff now? I mean, that's some of the
I
questions.
mean, we're having problems getting collection agencies. I think if we
Yes, we
offer
are.
a 3-year contract with them, there's no obligation on our part as far as cost. So I think that's a better deal for them, and they probably jump on it.
But I think we need to do the first collection in-house before, I mean, this is just for the older accounts.
This is for 90 days over. AP is doing a good job, but I think they got more other jobs to do than to focus on this.
Who's that?
AP, Levitas. Well, AP, finance, you know, Teresa Charles has been doing it.
AP.
Well, that's what I call everything AP up there.
Account
But the finance department has been doing it, and this is taken away from us. It won't be good buddy doing it, you know, it'd be somebody outside. But we can try it, it doesn't work.
Sure.
We don't lose nothing.
Any more questions for Mr. Wiggins? Ms. Robinson?
No.
Mr. Pitts?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
None? I need a motion. Is there a motion?
So Mr. Chairman, make a motion that we go ahead and work with PEN. Being it's going to save us. I mean, right now we're currently paying 30%. Now it's going to be 16.9%, 16.5. So I think it's a win-win.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. 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 We have a second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. I give you more, you want to be more?
Pass this out.
I don't.
Okay.
On number 11, we have
Kinda got
employee
divided, so just-
incentive plan. Commissioner Pitts, I think this was your.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I was reading one of our NACO newsletters, and it was talking about an innovative cost savings idea, and I felt like the county needed one. And what I'm doing, I'm passing out some handouts. It's pretty much two, and I'll go over both of them with you guys. One of them's over incentive, and the other one's about a wellness program that I've been telling you guys about. And just wanted to share some information, and if you guys want to give me some feedback, I would greatly appreciate it. Part of this employee incentive project is to encourage employees to share cost-cutting, innovative ideas to save taxpayers money. And how it will work is the employees will share their idea with their supervisor or department head. And if the department head feels the idea is achievable, the employee, department head, and our county administrator would discuss the idea and prepare a proposal for the Board of Commissioners. If the Board of Commissioners decide to implement the idea, the agreement will be a signed agreement with the county commissioners paying the employee a one-time 10% of the actual savings. So for an example, if the idea saves $10,000, the employee will receive a one-time payment of $1,000. The Board of Commissioners must see the actual savings before anybody receives a payment. And what qualifies a cost savings initiative payment would be that it's an innovative idea, not a normal business or standard business practices. Examples, moving the county from a paper-based electronic payment to reduce the cost of paper-based transactions by 50%. That was in the email that I sent you guys. Another idea, and I don't know if it will work or not, is implement a kiosk system at the government center, probate office, tax office, in order to accept payments faster, reduce the number of paper checks we have to process, and may even save money when it comes to banking fees. Some examples of normal business practice or standard business practices are, for an example, if a department head was able to reduce or negotiate a better rate when it comes to fuel costs, or negotiate better price when it comes to office supplies. And any savings, I would like to see the money go towards a general fund and maybe even allocate a portion of the money for the innovative projects, because based on the newsletter, sometimes there's an investment that the county has to make in order to make that initiative work. So I would just like to put something together. I would love to give our employees a raise, and this is an opportunity for them. We look for ways to try to save money, but they're on the ground every day. They're working in the communities, and they see what's going on, and they may have ideas, but there's no incentive for them to share. I'm not going to get anything out of it, so why share? So this right here will give them an opportunity to share some ideas and maybe get a reward for sharing. So that's my proposal, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Commissioner Pitt? If none, we need a motion to look at this incentive plan, or do we need to, I need some thoughts on this?
The actual savings, is that gonna come after payback on that, or return on the investment?
Right, for example, it's for 1 year, so it's not like a 3-year deal. You share the idea, if the board agrees to do it come January, by December, if we save $10,000 in December, we'll give that employee the $1,000 one-time payment. So the employee will only receive the payment once it's shown and it's actual that the county did save $10,000, and hopefully that $10,000 will just kind of go on for years and years to come.
I guess my question would be like if we were doing a cell lighting retrofit, and we spend $100,000 and we save $50,000 a year. It'd take 2 years before we actually see a savings. And that would be a 110% of the $50,000 a year savings in year 3, or would it be in year 1?
The proposal I have is just the first year, because that employee may not be with us, for a long extended period of time, and I don't want an employee having to wait 3 to 5 years to get a reward for their idea that was able to help the county save some money.
What kind of, I guess my idea on the idea is what kind of, do we have to put a guideline? I mean, they can say, well, we got 5 in our department, we only need 4. Is that going to be a?
I mean, whatever the idea is, it'll come before the board. I mean, it could be something very silly in which the board says, you know, it's a great idea, but we can't go in that direction. But then again, it's something we never thought about. And we decided to implement it, and whatever the board says, and that's the direction we're moving. So the board has the ultimate decision if we decide to invest in this innovative idea or not.
Maybe we go to the department head first.
It would go to the department head, the county administrator. They would sit down and work out, and they'll give us a presentation as of what we want to do, why we think it'll be beneficial, and then the board will make a decision at that time if they want to go in that direction.
Like I said before, where I retired from, they had a employee, they called it an ideas program. And you'd be surprised at how many great ideas came from it, because people then really get their thinking cap on and start trying to figure out, you know, different ways of doing things. And I think it's a very good program.
So it's going to be at the discretion of the board whether.
Right, and the thing is, in my opinion, so that the board is not the right term, might not be wasting time, but I mean, the county administrator, department head, and employee, they're going to vet the idea. And if it's not achievable, you know what? We just can't do that. You know, it's going to cost $1 million. We can't do that. Sure. But then again, if it's something $100,000, we may be able to provide from reserve. We're going to see a potential return within 12 months. You know what? That's a good idea. And like I said, it's vetted between the county administrator, department head, and they're going to prepare a proposal before they even present it to the board.
That would be my only change. I don't want to limit an employee's idea based on the knowledge just only of a department head. It's not any disrespect to them. A lot of times people don't think they can do it because they don't have access to resources or support. And here is the access to resources and support. So we don't have to get engaged, but when they hit the submit button, it goes to the department head, and we're CC'd on it just so we can take a look at it. Sam's been around a long time, you, Chris, Tommy, and we've seen different things, and it's amazing when 4 or 5 of us look at it. We look at it a little differently, and we can figure out how to get the resources. We go to the regional commission and so on, and employees don't always think about that, and neither do department heads, because they haven't been fully released. And maybe through this process, we'll get them released too, where they know where all the resources are that they can get to bring a project to bear. So that would be the only change. When they hit submit or sends it up, we all get a chance to look at it. Yeah, they can vet it out and discuss it, but if we see where we might be able to implement it, we'll find the dollars for retrofitting lighting, because the department head is going to say, we don't have $1 million to buy lighting, but we know through some sort of maintenance agreement or some other plan, we can get it paid for. So that'd be the only change.
That's a great idea. Incentivize ideas.
Do we have a motion?
So I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we implement this employee incentive program for innovative ideas.
Okay. Second. We got a second motion. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
And then, Mr. Chairman, just to share with the board, another idea I've been working on with Brandon and Matt and our wellness committee is the wellness card. that I got before you. And what it's going to do is encourage our employees to get their annual physicals. Make sure they get the vision, the dental. Make sure you check your blood pressure on a weekly basis, glucose finger checks monthly, do a body mass index monthly, enroll in our Walk Georgia program, log your activities in your Walk Georgia program, use our wellness center, which we've been fortunate to have, and our employees save, $30 a month so they don't have to pay a fee to join a gym. We encourage them to do aerobic activities as well as strength activities. And by them logging it, they'll be rewarded. And right now, we're still working on where the funds would come, where you would reward the employees for taking better care of their health, because we all know that health care is a very expensive cost on the county as well as our employees with high deductibles. So by us being proactive and encouraging our employees to take care of themselves, make wellness choices, and reward them a small token, I feel like it's going to return a healthy investment to the county once we do our reviews of wellness plans. When you show that, you know what, I caught diabetes at an early stage, therefore I'm not on diabetic medication, or I'm not having to take blood pressure medicine because I've become more active, and you know what, my county cares about me. They even give me an incentive to take care of myself, and at the same time the taxpayers win because we're not having to spend more money on healthcare costs. So if anybody would like to share, help us continue to develop this idea, I greatly appreciate your input, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Real quickly on that, Mr. Chairman, when we had presentations by the healthcare professionals, some of their plans actually had dollars in it for incentives. And that may be something you reach out and ask about, and even follow up with ACCG.
Right, because one of the ideas I would love for us to do is have one of our insurance reps come in, we have some computers in the gym, is maybe do like a lunch and learn. And after that lunch and learn, you can go on Blue Cross Blue Shield and enroll in the wellness program. And if I understand it correctly, in which there's still some details I don't understand, they're up to $150 the employee could receive by participating in the Blue Cross Blue Shield wellness program. And by a representative being there with our computers, they can go and get them enrolled. Because it's sad but true, and it's even me. Sometimes working on a computer can be a challenge. But being that you have somebody right there to help you enroll in the program, enroll in our Walk Georgia program, I think would be a shining star amongst the community where we show the surrounding communities and also the state that we're taking an active approach in the wellness and health of our employees.
Right. Any more discussion?
So it's still being developed, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to give you guys an idea what's going on, and if you guys want to jump on board, you're welcome.
All right. Thank you very much. Anything else? Moving to old business.
Fleet 24.
12. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm skipping Walthall. I marked it, all right, Walthall 24-hour car, that's John, excuse me.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners.
Here a couple of weeks ago, we changed getting gas and diesel on road from Lakeside to Walthall. And anyway, they gave us a fleet card. So I come to y'all tonight to ask about the fleet card. Freddie has used his, we hadn't used ours. I got 4 and I got them in my desk. But the only time we was gonna use them is like on Fridays and Saturdays when somebody's working. And at night, yeah. Cause they 24 hours. But the only place you can use it is down at Walthall on 49. And I mean, they got cameras down there, and these cars got numbers on them, and but that's what I come to y'all tonight about, is the fleet card for down there, cause we'll be saving money. Freddie got gas down there. He got 11.387, and it costs 23 at the station, 98. But once the taxes were taken out, when they got the bill up here, it was 21.63. So we saved $2.35.
Is that diesel?
Huh?
Was that for diesel or
gas?
Regular gas.
Yeah.
And you can only.
But see, we've been getting gas on the weekends and all up at Old Clinton Gas, but we pay them other taxes up there, which I want to keep that just in case something comes up and we need something quick.
So Clinton, they don't have the ability to back out the taxes for the counties, what you're saying.
Right.
All does.
That's right.
We don't have any storage tanks over on.
Well, we got tanks down there, but Thursday afternoon, we cut them off and can't nobody get anything out of them on Friday and Saturday.
We've also been in a situation, John, when the power's out down there, when lightning storms and stuff come to us on and such, we kills our power, so we can't pump out of the tank.
Well, we got a generator and the pumps are hooked up.
Just didn't transfer.
You can only just buy gas or diesel. You can't go in the store buy a pack of crackers or Coke.
Yeah.
Nothing. And you gotta put your truck number in there
That's an idea.
and your PIN number.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that Walthall offered us free, and we just, hey, save the county money. You know, if we need it, like a night, weekend, like I said, Jonathan out there on Friday. If we need gas on Friday, Saturday, we just run down the store.
Why wouldn't they fuel up on Thursdays?
Well, they might, but if they, I mean, you know, if they get called out Thursday night, or if my trucks, like the roll-off trucks run, see on Fridays, they might have to go up to Old Clinton and get gas, so they'd be ready to go Monday morning, early.
Who you assigning the cards to, and how would they get access to them?
I got my card and then another guy's card. They got signing out in the office in there.
I'm just curious, because John's situation, he shuts down on Thursdays, right?
Yeah, I got 4.
So how would they get the card?
I will give them to them.
On Thursday?
And then they will give them back to me on Monday.
Okay. Is it just?
Just for the weekend. That's all it's for.
Superintendents in that area or regular employees?
Huh?
Superintendents in that area or regular employees?
Well, it might be a superintendent that's on call, but it might be a roll-off driver, you know.
Sure, I want to just ask Jason, we've been having some conversations also in one of our NACO newsletters about a fuel card for pretty much all employees that have a county car. And with this fuel card, it also tracks the amount of miles between each time they get a fill up. So there's a form of accountability there. So I'm going to ask Jason to kind of chime in. Yeah. Not anything against this right here, but...
Express or Fuel Man.
There you go. So yeah, so please share, if you don't mind, with the board so they're aware of this idea.
Yeah, those are the two that I've had experience with before, and a lot of similar features to this. You can, I think Right Express and Fuel Man are both pretty widely accepted at different gas stations. Same kind of deal. You go put the car in, you have put in your vehicle number, your PIN number, you put in the mileage of the vehicle, and at the end of the month, you get a report on all the gas that was purchased for those cards, where it was purchased, times, and it'll give you miles per gallon on that tank, and it'll give you an exception report if somebody got gas in Panama City, Florida, or something over the weekend, or 3 in the morning or something. It gives you a pretty good exception report so that if something unusual is going on there, you should know about it. So it might have some additional features that this doesn't have, but yeah, that's something that we've talked about, and that might make sense to roll out on a broader scale. And we probably just want to check around with gas stations in the county and see which ones accept which programs. And I think they also have a feature, Right Express at least, where they'll back the taxes out as well.
Right. So I mean, for an example, John already gave us a $2 savings right there. So I mean, if we can implement this countywide, can you imagine the potential savings we would have from all of our gas purchase with taxes being backed off? That's an innovative idea. Right there, okay? But I don't get any type of bonus for it, all right?
John,
I don't get a bonus for it.
John, they sell us
Hey, it's coming.
gasoline
If you implement it.
for a certain amount per gallon
We pay,
in the tank.
right,
Big tank.
right.
Now, if they use a fuel card or
If they use the fuel card, they back the taxes out as same price.
same price
Yeah.
as bulk.
Right.
I will caution one thing about giving all employees with vehicle fuel cards. accountability, trackability. I've been there, done that in my personal business, and found out it can get questionable at times. And we just need to make sure we got whatever measures in place to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand.
Yeah. Right. But it was just my whole intention for those employees that are driving cars that have a credit card, whatever they use right now, to purchase, to make sure they have access to it. So they have to come to get the car from John, and they fill up their truck, car, whatever, and return it to John. But at the same time, we'll have some accountability measures in place.
I just caution you.
Yeah. But let the board have to approve it.
You got to have a policy in place to back up your card program. But
Exactly.
also, that would require us to put it at John's pump too, because you lost accountability if you're putting half your gas in at a card station and half out of the tank in the yard.
So, similar concern, 2017 we're budgeted for $280,000 in fuel. Is the finance department going to track those cards, or will each department head be responsible for doing that? And that's just your department on fuel. So I'm just curious how you're going to manage that.
Well, I mean, down at work, you got to put your truck number in, your mileage,
right,
and all that.
Do you track your fuel expenditures per employee at this point?
We kind of watch them. I mean, because at one time I ain't gonna call no name.
Okay.
We had somebody that driving a diesel got more gas than he did diesel. So
I understand. When it's 280,000, I'm just concerned. So.
But we hadn't been up to 280 in a long time.
Thank you. More budget cuts.
I think if we started, we ought to start small.
Right.
Try it, see how it's going to work on an experimental basis. Mr. Wiggins, how long have you had your car?
Same time, John, when we get the email from Dennis? A week, 10 days?
Yeah, it's probably been 2 weeks.
So you will let Freddie be the guinea pig? I'm just like,
yeah, because I ain't used none of it.
Right.
I think, Mr. Chairman, the confusion was when the guys get a receipt, they had $23.98. But when the statement comes in, it's got $21.63. So that's why we had to get a letter from Walthall, so Levita can put it with the invoices. So when the auditor's coming in, they said, how come you got two different prices? So it's a little backup stating why the price was reduced because of taxes.
So Levita's department will post the actual bill, and you'll have your receipt.
Right.
Right. You got to do receipt like you do Old Clinton, CNM. Yeah.
See, that was like Lakeside. We never did get the bill from Lakeside at Public Works. It always came up here.
I do have a question. Chief Burnett is in the audience. Chief, when it comes to our deputies, are they going to various service stations, or do they just get all the gas from the sheriff department?
They get all the gas from the sheriff's department.
Okay.
Unless they have to travel.
Yes, ma'am.
Or whatever, and have to have gas there.
Yes, ma'am.
And they'll get it with the sheriff's department.
Got it.
Well, I guess I need a motion to try the experiment on this.
Mr. Chairman, I made the motion that we'll try the fleet car with our War Department as well as Public Works on this trial basis, and we'll review it after 60 or 90 days.
Right. Do I have a second? Second. We have a second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Did you want to say something else?
Just as long as they're tracking that.
I agree 100%.
So like I agree, we'll just review it after 60 or 90 days. If it's not working, then we can, back it off. It just didn't work.
Now we're going to old business.
We just go to Old Clinton and get them.
Yep. Pay the taxes, additional taxes on it.
I'm all about savings tonight, so.
Okay. Sure. Can you get it? Okay, I've got it. I'm good. All right. First one, old business, fiscal year 2018 public defender's budget request.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I was back before y'all last month, and I don't know that I did that good a job on presenting our budget and our situation, so I want to follow up on it. It appeared that back then the main concern was some increases in some salaries. I want to point out just a couple of things in regards to that. First of all, these are not Jones County employees. They're not county employees at all. They're sort of a hybrid. They're considered state employees, but they're funded collectively through the 8 counties of the old Muggy Circuit, which Jones County, of course, is part of. Jones County pays about 17.5% of all our expenses that we contract with through the 8 counties. So they're not technically county employees. Those employees, though, that are funded through this contract are 5 attorneys, 1 full-time administrator, and 1 part-time administrator. Just a little bit of tooting our horn. When we originally came up with the contract back in 2004, we asked for 2 administrative assistants to supplement the 2 that the state funded. Would give us 4 for the 8 counties. Well, about 3 or 4 years into the program, 1 left, and we decided there wasn't quite enough work for that position, so we actually cut it back to a part-time position. So we have 3.5 administrative assistants for 8 counties, which I think is pretty good. So I'm not tonight requesting a salary increase. I'm here to request that you approve the contract between Jones County and our Public Works, Public Defender's Office. We don't need nearly as much money. But that's what I am here asking for. But there's a couple of things about our office and our agency that are a little bit unique. First of all, almost every year, we give back money to the county. Not a lot of money, but I'm not asking for a lot of money either. In the past 4 years, we refunded approximately $24,000. Again, which is not a lot of money in y'all's budget, but it all counts. There's going to be another one this year for the 5th year in a row. So that's money that we didn't spend. We didn't have to return it back to the counties, but we believe that's what we should do. We can spend it on other things, but we just feel like that's the right thing to do, to give it back to the counties when we don't use it. But the other thing is a little bit even more unique is that since 2004, Jones County has received from our office $141,000 in rent. Now, I don't know any other government agency that pays you rent, but that's how much we paid you over those 13 years. That's net. That's taking out the part that y'all actually pay into our operating contract. It's been about $170 before you take your 17.5% out. So you've netted $141,000 that we paid into Jones County. So to me, I didn't have to do that when we originally set up our budget either. Neither Jones County or Baldwin County, who we pay rent, asked me to do that, but we thought it was the right thing to do for all counties to share in the rent space, and so that's what we do. So, of the personnel portion, about right at $9,000, $8,650, it goes towards an attorney who handles probate court, traffic court. And we're not mandated by law to do that, but we are authorized to do that, and we do that. We've 4 counties, including Jones, contract with us for their lower court, 2 state courts, and 2 traffic courts. For the past 4 years, Jones County, based on caseload, because it fluctuates every year, the caseload, and you pay a set amount. Based on caseload, you've paid an average of $107 a case for us to represent people in probate court of Jones County. $107 per case. Now, if you want to go get an attorney and ask him to give you a quote on 85 cases a year, it's going to be $25,000, bare minimum, $300, probably more than that. So that's just another way I say that Jones County is getting a bargain bang for its buck. But without a contract, and we don't technically have the money to be in probate court, traffic court. I would like to remedy that and be done with it, get that situation out of the way. Baldwin County has already returned us a contract signed and executed. Putnam County has already returned their contract. And Greene County, the other county we contract with, they're doing theirs tonight. So basically that's what I'm here to clear up any questions that you had and to ask you to go ahead and approve our contract tonight so that we'll be set to go.
Any questions? Did the other counties increase the contract amount?
They did, as presented. You understand the way I've structured it. It is some more money will come in to next year theoretically. Yes, yes, that's true. And they have. The refund you're going to get this year will pretty much cover, I'm protecting, will cover any increase that goes to next year as a result of these rollover funds. plus there'll probably be another refund anyway, but you should be, when you take into account what you've received in previous 4 years, this year should be covered for the next 2 or 3 years, and any increase that we're talking about is a net salary increase.
But the dollar amount of this, Mr. Chairman, can I ask?
Sure, absolutely.
The dollar amount of this contract is the same as the previous year, the 109 something or other.
It is, and it is, yes.
109,426.
Right, and before that was 104, before that was 104, before that was 101, so it's, in all of those years I just quoted, you got refunds, so.
Any more questions?
But I would appreciate your consideration to approving our budget.
Mr. Chairman. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I move that we approve the public defender's budget.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate the partnership.
Thank you.
I want to congratulate you on setting the millage rate. That looked deceptively easy, but I know a lot of hard work, time, and tears went into that, so thank you.
Ready? Oh, I got this. Same thing. Courthouse feasibility study, scope of service, and fee proposal.
And Mr. Chairman, I've got that one.
You got that one?
I got that one, yes, sir. As the commissioners know,
We had to know that.
there's one thing, that's one thing. I'm not asking for any money.
Okay.
Other than what's already been budgeted.
Gotcha.
As y'all know, most of you know, about 2 years ago, Judge Pryor, who's the chief judge in Okmulgee Circuit for the Superior Courts, all 8 counties, and our folks at the courthouse became very concerned about the limited space at the courthouse. A committee was formed. Judge Pryor heads it up. Judge Green is on it. The sheriff is on it. Bart Jackson, Superior Court clerk, is on it. Sherry Rollins is on it, representing downtown. As of this year, the commission representative changed. Commissioner Kitchens is on it. $50,000 was set aside several years ago, put in the budget, to do a study. And we have met on several occasions with an architect in Macon, Mr. Bob Brown, who has done a number of courthouses. He was involved with the addition to our courthouse 15 or 20 years ago. And every time we look at short-term needs and long-term needs, that's what we were charged to do. And Jason, Jason's on the committee too, and since he got here. And every time we look at a short-term need, which is primarily for more courtroom space, which is a very dire need, it runs into substantial amounts of money, which we think, well, why can't we use that for the long-term needs rather than spending a whole lot of money now? And it just kind of is a vicious circle with the different ideas, trying to decide what's the best thing to do. So, and this is what basically the $50,000 was budgeted for a couple of years ago. Mr. Brown has come up with a proposal, and Margie, that's in the packet, isn't it? Is that in I think the commissioners have this. He is going to do a comprehensive study of our courthouse. The bottom line is, and he's going to talk to all the constitutional officers, all the department heads who are involved, the people in the law enforcement center, the sheriff, of course, an exhaustive study, and he's going to be basically considering long-term needs and short-term needs, and he'll break it down into 2 options, which will be either renovation and or addition to our current courthouse, and then or the possible relocation of the courts, all of the courts, move them out of the courthouse to a new facility, renovate the courthouse that we have now for all the court-related offices, which could move some offices out of this building where we are tonight into the courthouse. So what he has come up with is a pretty detailed proposal that would cost us $22,800 as a lump sum fee. It would take him, obviously, I would guess, several months to do this. We would then get back together and decide what sort of recommendation to make, which of course ultimately will come back to this board to make a decision about what we're going to do. But what I'm asking for tonight is that I'm the chairman of this committee, is the reason I've got this, and what he wants us to do is, if we agree to, he signed the contract for this $22,800,
And if the board is in agreement for that, and again, this money is there. I got Jason to confirm it. And he talked, I don't know if Levita's still here, but she confirmed that we do have the money there. So if the board approves it, I would ask that the chairman be authorized to sign this. I'll send it back to the architect so he can get started.
Chairman, having worked with BTBV before, I know their experience is there, and they have what I consider a benefit for us is the relative experience of having worked on this courthouse before, so they didn't have to reinvent the wheel, which in turn saved us from the estimated $50,000+. That will allow us, once we come back with a plan for approval from the board, to at least give us seed money for the next steps and actually how to implement and how to get to where we need to be. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Motion second, any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Quick question.
Oh, you want a quick question?
You know I do. How long before we actually go out or plan to build this courthouse?
Commissioner, I think it'll be at least a year, maybe probably more. Because it's going to take a while to get this study done, to come back with some recommendations. It's a huge decision. It'll impact all of us who live in this county. It's going to be a major expenditure at some point, and that's why so much time is being spent on trying to decide the best way to go.
Right, and the reason why I asked that is because we just approved the tentative millage rate, which does not account for any future construction or other. And, you know, we have not put any money away for the building fund.
Right.
And if this was a church, we'd be in trouble. So that is my concern, that we know we have to do this. They've been telling us this for years. And I want to make sure that we start thinking about that and putting in a plan, especially if we're going to do this. Don't get a plan on the table and then all the costs are going to change because we're going to do it 3, 5, 10 years later.
I think there'll be definitely a short-term recommendation first, which will be way less expensive than whatever the long-term recommendation is.
Fair enough. Thank you.
So you were aye? Aye. Opposed? None?
Marjorie, would you get the chairman to sign that at y'all's convenience? Sure. And get it back to me and I'll get it on here. Thank you.
On old business, item 3, Daylon Martin requests a conditional use to allow a group home for up to 6 clients. Property is located on 3408 Kingsview Circle and consists of 0.27 acres, currently zoned R1A, single family resident. Mr. Petrowski.
Mr. Chairman, this is a matter that was before y'all on February 7th of this year. That matter was tabled at this time. It's been asked to be placed back on the agenda for your consideration tonight. The Planning Commission did recommend denial of this request.
Okay. This will be handled just like we've got a person signed in, but those opposed here tonight will have an opportunity to speak. You don't have to be signed in. We'll treat this just like any other zoning hearing because this was tabled. I'll first start off with Mr. Martin, let him talk with the board, and then I'll give the opportunity to the ones that are opposed for this to also be heard. Mr. Martin?
Mr. Chairman, I really would like to offer a compromise. The reality is that the zoning and planning board approved or made the recommendation for approval of the group home at my primary residence, which sits on 16 acres, 4,000 square foot home, 400 yards away from the street and acres away from the nearest neighbor, which should have the least impact, you know, on any nearby neighbor or large sums of neighborhoods. And that is really what I'd like to do. Unfortunately, you know, I recognize the dilemma that places you all in that those folks from that neighborhood are not present. But that was the zoning and planning recommendation. This board did deny that, and I'd offer to rescind these 2 requests in light of an approval for the primary residence.
Mr. Petrowski.
Mr. Chairman, would be my opinion, would confer with council on that since the request at the primary residence was denied, we need to go back through the process to satisfy the Zoning Procedures Act.
That would be my opinion
certainly.
Commissioner Martin, would you like to add anything else?
No, sir.
With those opposed, would somebody like to come forward and start off tonight? We had Mr. Gordon, Miss Gordon, excuse me. Easy, I said that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
If you'll just introduce yourself and give us your address for the record.
My name is Ada Mae Gordon, 3411 Kingsview Circle. I'm here to address the issue that Mr. Martin wants to have a group home placed in our neighborhood, in our community. We are against the group home being put there. I have worked at a group home before, and you run into all kind of different issues every day. Not just, you think you have a break some days, you don't. You run into different kind of issues every day. I love children. I enjoy working at the group home. They have more than one building for girls, boys, and cafeteria, plus room to interact with outside. And he won't be able to have that there. That property is just for, more like for a single family occupants only. So at this point in time, I'm asking the board again, this was brought here February the 7th, and we opposed against it. And at this point in time, I'm also asking the board to reject the proposal for Mr. Martin for bringing a group home into our neighborhood. We would like to keep it as a single family resident. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Boyd. Does anybody else like to come forward and speak?
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Joseph Roderick. I live at 3420 Kingsview Circle, 2 houses up from where he wants to put it. And 3420 Kingsview Circle. I want to understand what you just said when he said y'all will go back and review the other one that was denied.
No, he would have to resubmit the other one.
Even though it was denied?
If the only way, the option he would have, Mr. Travis.
Go ahead, Tim.
There's a 6-month time limit that once an application has been denied, someone can reapply, ask again, and see what happens. And he has that option open to him. 6 months from the date of denial, February 7th, he can resubmit an application and go through the process.
So it don't matter how many times denial comes up, he can still do it 6 months?
Every 6 months he can come in and ask again.
What Commissioner Martin asked tonight, and Commissioner, tell me if I misstate this, but what he was saying, I think what you're referring to, he was saying that if the board would go back tonight and give him that group home at his primary residence, he would withdraw these 2 that we're talking about tonight.
Okay.
But we couldn't do that because that's already been voted down, denied. So what they're saying is he can come back and reapply. We can't just tonight say, well, okay, we'll give you that one and deny these.
Okay. From the last time we met in February 7th, I don't know how many signatures on the petition I would have brought it, because wasn't nothing, wasn't notified of him putting it back on there, which I suggest you don't have to notify when you put it, because the first time I was notified, it was put in my mailbox.
Let me say something about that, Mr. Roderick, and that was something that it's never happened before, and it won't happen again. I'll tell you why it happened. And I know a lot of people who were here that night wanted to make sure that they were notified. And as I understand it, after the agenda went out Friday with that addition on there, people did, because of some of the people who get this mass email, the word got out in the neighborhoods, I understand it. But Commissioner Martin asked that it be tabled. Now, he asked last week, is my understanding, that it got added to the agenda last Friday.
Okay.
And that he had a right to have it put back on tonight, being a commissioner.
Right.
And that obviously didn't give Mr. Petrowski's office or anybody else in the county time to go out there and get signs out and notified. But I'm glad apparently that the email did. Nobody was trying to, well, I feel like nobody was trying to slip something in on everybody. I mean, I don't think Commissioner Martin intended to do that when he asked that it be put on for the night. But that's something that was a concern. And
I assure you that if nobody had shown up tonight, if it looked like nobody knew about this in the neighborhood, I would have had a legal opinion saying we needed to put this off. And it would have involved giving Commissioner Martin more time because he was up against a time.
Okay.
He had 6 months from the time of the P&Z recommendation to get it put on the agenda, and I think that's why he did it when he did. But the people in the neighborhood have a right to be notified too.
Yeah, Attorney Childs, is it acceptable for me to get your email and just put on that email list so when all agenda goes out that you'll get a copy of it so you're aware of any idea or anything that's on our agenda?
Yeah, anybody who wants to get on this can be put on the mass email list.
Okay.
So make sure you give us your email address before you leave.
Yeah, you'll get every agenda, every meeting you get the agenda.
And I encourage you to do that so you can keep up with the county activities. Have it emailed to you on a meeting basis. That way you can look at the agenda and see what's coming up on the agenda. You might see something that you didn't realize was on there that you would be interested in participate in.
And also look on the website because they do broadcast the meeting so you guys can actually watch them live.
Yes.
You're on television right now.
Which channel? I didn't never know y'all was live on TV.
Your movie star, you should know it.
Yeah, right. But anyway, I asked y'all to oppose it because if I had time, I can go to Whitaker and all other folks. I can get you up over 400 petitions within that vicinity off of Joy Cliff, Ruby Drive, Spratley Drive, all of them. They do not want that in that community. So I said, I really ask y'all not to do that.
Thank you very much. Is anyone else in the audience like to say something that we haven't already heard? Or you feel welcome to come up and speak? Anyone? You're welcome to come up, sir.
Hello, I'm Douglas Stevens. I live at 3425 Kingsview Circle. And I agree with the previous two neighbors that I think it'd be best served in a commercial area and not in our neighborhood. That's all.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? If not, I need some discussion from the board or guidance.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, right quickly, I just want to remind the board members of the criteria, the standards that we talked about, and this relates back to the hearing when everybody was here back in, I believe it was early February. And we discussed this in detail, but again, the standards you look at, the conditional use request, it has to, if you granted it, the proposed use or structure should be compatible with development and uses existing on adjacent and nearby property. That's the first one. Second one is the proposed use or structure shall not have a substantial adverse impact upon the existing use or usability of adjacent or nearby property. The third one would be the proposed use or structure shall not cause an excessive or burdensome use of existing streets, transportation facilities, utilities, schools, or other public facilities. And then the fourth one is you look at whether the proposed development will conform with the duly adopted land use and or other physical development plans or policies for the area. And the fifth one is you look at whether there are other existing or changing conditions affecting the use and development of the property which give supporting grounds for either approval or disapproval of the request. Those are the same ones you look at every time.
Okay. Any more discussion from the board? Questions from Mr. Martin? Ms. Mark, would you like to say anything else?
No, sir.
This time I need a motion. Some denial or approval of one way or another.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll just go ahead and say I just agree with what, being that the residents have come and expressed their concerns about it, to deny it. Plus, Commissioner Martin has mentioned about even going back and trying to get its primary residence, served as a group home. So at this time, I made the motion that you deny, and that Commissioner Martin goes through the process of trying to get his own primary residence up under a group home.
I would second that based on 1 through 4.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Oh. I have it.
And of course, the record will reflect too, so everybody know, Commissioner Martin did not vote. He realized he can't vote on this issue and he abstained.
Chowski, you want to introduce the second one? Deadline Martin requests a conditional use to allow a group home for up to 6 clients. The property is located at 119 McCrary Drive. and consists of .27 acres plus or minus zone R1 single family resident.
Mr. Chairman, this is the second request that was tabled at the February 7th meeting to allow a group home at this location. The Planning Commission also recommended denial of this request.
Mr. Martin?
Nothing about.
You don't go there? Anybody in the audience would like to speak in opposition to that?
If anybody would like to, if you've already spoken, you can just say you adopt your previous statement.
Yes, I adopted a previous statement. I'm gonna tell you the reason why. Because my father's house and my mother's house is on 34, it doesn't change the address now, it's 3314 Ruby Drive, and that's right, I grew up in that neighborhood, all that. And I feel the same way about that neighborhood that I do, because like I said, my sister's residing now in that neighborhood. So, thank you.
Anybody else like to speak in opposition to the zoning?
And Mr. Chairman, I would say that the residents who probably are not aware would still be in opposition. So on behalf of them, they're still in opposition.
Okay. That says, any questions for Commissioner Martin? If none, I need a motion.
And for the record, Chairman, board members, to consider the same 5 standards we talked about a few minutes ago. There's a different piece of property, same standard.
Make a motion to deny based on 1 through 4.
We have a motion to that. Do we have a second?
A second.
Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? That's all on new business. It's like we're at department heads. Any department heads have anything? Mr. Crown? Everybody's pointing at you for some reason.
He used the first, so I was.
Okay.
99, sir.
Mr. Wiggin?
Thank you, Chairman. I was going to bring Attorney Childs up. He wasn't here to meet when we talked about Sun Valley. You know, that day you and I met with William Ross.
Mm-hmm.
We sent a letter to his brother in Texas.
Right.
He received it. He has not corresponded with his brother or his nephew. So I just want to bring you up to speed out of yesterday. Had anybody heard nothing from him?
Thank you, Freddie.
So I just
Thank you.
want to let you know what's going on.
We need to follow up with his brother and make it.
Right.
Mr. Love? Ms. Angie? I'm just going to throw a curve at you again, but Mr. Goins?
I got a quick question. It's more for Attorney Childs. Does advertising on the website jumpstart the clock, or does it have to go in the paper?
It has to be in the paper. We might want to revisit that. We need to change our ordinance and look at it, but now it has to be in the paper.
Any other department heads like to speak, comment? Mr. Petowski?
I just want to touch briefly on the per diem that was discussed earlier this evening. There are 2 conflicting standards. One is the Georgia Accounting Office that provides the travel amounts for state employees that are traveling, and that per diem is like $29 a day, and I heard you mention 46, so there's quite a difference. The General Services Administration, which sets the policy for federal employees, and they have that set at $46 for travel in general areas of Georgia. So I just wanted to mention that to you all.
All right, thank you very much.
So do we need to clarify that we're going to go by the federal? Okay.
Yes,
So do we need to make a motion of that, or?
Do we need to make a motion so we can correct the motion, make sure which standard we're going by?
Because we mentioned the state at one time.
I still like to see it before I vote on it.
Right, but he said it's 43 and the other one's 29, 46.
It's his original motion.
Right, so you need to make a motion to amend it.
Amend the motion to the GSA standards.
Second.
Any discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, because
All right. No more.
Can I say one more, just one thing, just a kudos for the administrator. With the budget process and the way it's been going, I think we're way ahead of the game right now, from what I'm used to. And I'm not talking down anybody, especially on the board, but we've never been offered the numbers that we've had in the format that we've had it in. We're looking at everybody's numbers. We kind of know everybody's situation. And I think that makes a big difference when you start setting your own budget, when you're looking at somebody else's budget too, it kind of, it plays together of how everybody's trying to say what others are getting and so forth. But whoever came up with the format, and I'm sure it was the administrator and Shannon, I'm sure, I appreciate it on my end a whole lot.
Who cut your budget?
Say it again?
Still no. All right, thank you. Mr. Robinson, we're going to move into commissioners' comments. I ain't gonna scare you tonight. I'll let you go first. You have none?
Well, I had an enjoyable afternoon today with the chairman, and we had some good discussions, and I enjoyed the fellowship. We went to a restaurant to eat. The lady said, "Will it be two?" And I said, "Yes, one adult and one child." But I felt it all out my head, which is which.
And when we left there, we still didn't know which was which. Mr. Martin?
We have some opportunities again for out-of-school youth resources that are available, and I want to make sure that the board hears it. We sit on the board, Workforce Investment Board. There's millions of dollars for out-of-school youth, for displaced workers and so on, and we're not really leveraging those opportunities. We need to find a way, a workaround, and whoever has a relationship here with the Board of Ed needs to figure that out. Graduation rate somewhere around 78, 79, which means 20% of those kids didn't graduate in the previous year and the previous year. And I'm going to sound like a broken record because I'm the chair of that board and I hate sending money out of county. And we sent $700,000 up the road to Cobb County. And I know our kids can use it more. So somebody figure it out. On the other side of that, there are work-based credits and so on that go across the county. And if we do empowerment zones that are happening in different areas, there's different credits that we can offer employers. Recidivism and things of that nature, all those resources are there. We have to put the pieces together to make it happen. Again, echoing what Don said, I'm happy that the budget process is way further along. I feel like one year we skipped, and I'm going to tell you, when I look back at the budget, we ballooned almost $1.6 million when we didn't have a budget hearing. And I'm trying to figure out how we just did an auto reset. And all the departments went back to spending what they used to spend. So it kind of disturbs me that it happened that way. And I wish we could go back to 2015 and get those dollars back, because that's $1 million and some change that we just started spending again. There's some opportunities, of course, in the county to leverage those resources. I'm glad people are involved in the process. It feels better. It's a little cleaner. Next year, Sam, we will get there in February, right? And start earlier. So we're not crunched and pressed for time. And then I think full engagement is going to make a difference. I wish we had real partners in business and industry, and I don't mean that in any offensive way. But there's another level of accountability that comes when your chamber really holds this board accountable, and then also becomes partners in the process. We lack a true public-private partnership that really is expansive, that can make a difference in the county. Some of the things that we have to do are major ticket items. The courthouse, I can't see being cheaper than $5 million. This year is coming for another $2 to $6 million, depending on, let me not put numbers in his mouth, at least $2 million. So that's $7 million. We just approved a tentative millage rate that does not account for that, which means 3 to 5 years down the road, we're footing that bill with the increased requests from the department heads. And we didn't even include any salary requests. So guys, I'm not the bearer of bad news, I'm just a reality guy. Let's look at the numbers. From a business standpoint, I look at what I do and what other people do. With regard to group homes, I can tell you the idea came about because I was offended that a group had a problem with kids coming into a neighborhood where that house had more than 11 or 13 kids in it, and all of a sudden kids are not welcome in the neighborhood. And whether you look at them as our kids, as Jones County kids, or somebody else's kids, they were no longer welcome. I probably shouldn't have put in 5 requests, and the chairman, I think Sam, echoed that a number of times. That's the only decision I regret. I'll never go back and not change helping kids, because that's what it's really about. I'm still offended that this board went against zoning and planning, but we're still friends. We're okay. If you hear a word from my attorney, you know it's gotten personal, business-wise. But on 16 acres, 4,000 square foot home, we shouldn't have had a problem, and this board voted against it. Quoting particular items from the attorney or wherever that came from, the logic doesn't apply. There are very few black-owned businesses in Jones County, and there are very few black-owned businesses that have an impact on employing youth. And I don't play race cards. I could care less, really. My daughter's white, or half white, which makes her black. So, long story made short, it doesn't make a difference. It's about whether or not we have opportunity in the county. This happened with Mr. Williams and his shop, and we have a pattern of not supporting business interest. And it doesn't matter if it's next door to your house. If it has a negative impact, absolutely. 1 or 2 children, I don't think is going to make a difference. Because some of us did some really tough and bad stuff as kids, and our neighbors helped make a difference. So in that regard, I'm a little disappointed. Still opportunity. We're working on economic development. I'm excited about the progress that we're making. Sewer hopefully will be a reality, that we will help with future business expansion. And again, citizens get engaged. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I want to comment on Commissioner Martin. Being that Jason's going to be talking to Mr. Gibson about the student ambassador program, maybe you can talk to him about the workforce development since you guys will be meeting. And if you don't mind, just follow back up with the board as of his ideas and suggestions about trying to implement that workforce development program in our school system.
They're using FERPA. FERPA, which is the Federal Education Rights Protective Act for Children. South Carolina bypassed that with a memorandum of understanding. I brought our director from the Workforce Development Board. She is now on the Career Academy group. I've been meeting with them since February. And Shanna, who we actually partially pay her salary, she couldn't get access to that information either. So we've got to figure that out to help our kids. Because it's jobs, it's money, and it's tuition that we pay. Bibb County screwed it, and we have an opportunity to really do a good job with it. So hopefully they'll hear it and they'll make some changes.
Mr. Pitts?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, got an email from Levita today that we did receive the check from the city, so I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem and the rest of the council and the mayor for making that donation to our inclusive playground. We have submitted at least 2 other grants for that inclusive playground, and hope within the next 60-90 days we'll hear something back and continue to make progress on that. We're also I've been working with a county administrator about trying to do the Otis Redding Bridge dedication. He's going to be reaching out to DOT. What's a proposed date? So maybe Friday, September the 8th, or Monday, September the 11th. We're hoping to go ahead and do that because around the same time as Otis Redding's birthday. So it'd be awesome to be able to do a bridge dedication the same time as his birthday. So that's hopefully we get some good news back from DOT. We can hopefully do that on either the 8th or the 11th of September. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Kitchen?
One thing I'd like to get Jason to make sure that we follow up on some of our policies that we're going to update from our budget retreat, which included some of the vehicle policies and purchasing policies and that. We wanted to fall through the cracks. Budget process. I want to thank the department heads and the staff for having the patience to put up with us through this grueling first-time process for some of us. But we're going to get there. Like Commissioner Martin, I'm looking back at 2015 because that's the last actual budget that we had that wasn't just copied from the prior year. So it is harder to get back to that point 3 years later, but that's what I'm looking at. And on the brighter side, I don't know the names, so I'm probably going to misstate them, but I know that we have some 10 and under softball girls going to the World Series, and we have some 8 and under boys baseball going to the World Series, won their state brackets, run their district brackets. So that's, and I'm sure there's others, but if you just look back over the last couple of months, we've had track teams that broke state records and won state awards, and we've got baseball, softball. Everybody in Jones County knows that football and baseball, where we come from there and what we've put out in this community. So if you don't think recreation is making a commitment to our community economically and for quality of life, we're sadly mistaken. So I know we put a lot of resources towards it, but when you see these kids start out in T-ball, and now you're looking at them in the major leagues with $1 million contracts, that says a lot about our community. So make sure people recognize that. And a lot of it is from the not just the coaches, but the parents that are coaches that just bring them right up through from 5 years old on.
Good. Commissioner Pitts, you had one other thing?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I do. I want to bring up to the board's attention and get your consent on it. Ms. Cherie Stevens, she's over in Macon. I think she's on the Clean Air Commission, and she's implementing a Live Healthy Macon bill. And she's identified a grant that we may be able to partner with, Live Healthy Jones and Live Healthy Macon Bibb. The Regional Commission, they're actually reviewing it right now. And I want to get the consent of the board that if the Regional Commission feels that this is a doable grant, that we do it. The due date is August the 3rd, so if I need to bring it back on August the 1st, then I'll do that, but it's just kind of like one of those time of the essence type projects. But the Regional Commission reviewing it because our health issues may be a little bit different from Macon Bibb, but at least she's identified and just another way for us to partner as we can try to take this Live Healthy initiative, make it not only county by county, but make it on a regional basis. So.
Attorney Childs, have you got anything?
No, sir. Don't think so.
This time we'll open up for citizen comments. Anybody like to come forward and speak? Yes.
Hey, is this?
1 minute, I got the clock on you.
No problem, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Just a quick update, just in case y'all hadn't had the opportunity to go down to Allen Green Drive in the last couple of weeks. The lights, street lights are up and on.
All right.
Just a quick update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to come forward for citizen comment? No one like to come forward. I need a motion to adjourn to go into executive session.
So move personnel.
Personnel.
One quick word on litigation.
One quick word on litigation.
So moved.
We had a motion, second. All in favor, aye? Thank you.
Sam give me the key right now. All of a sudden, I ain't got nothing. Say where she comes from. I'm going to peppermints. I'm sitting there looking at Jenny like, eyeballs. I'm not going to Sam give me that candy. All of a sudden, I was lost in me. I'm going, why am I shaking so bad? I said, it's just
probably 9 o'clock before I go there.
Especially if you've been mouth to mouth. I love candy, but you know, I'm used to it. I'm one of those ones that every 2 to 3 hours I'll have a little bite of something.